And we thought what we saw in that awful video from the Intercontinental was bad. But to hear the actual graphic details of what Cassie and others endured day after day for years is just completely heartbreaking. And to hear the sex worker actually try to offer her aid when, she was being beaten, and literally she went to him for solace, as opposed to the person who supposedly loves and cares about her. She had to jump into the arms of a sex worker, and he was literally like, this is not okay. You need to leave this relationship. And she did, unfortunately, what so many survivors do, which is, I'm okay, it's gonna be okay, basically, I can handle this. And the reality is, she really needed to get out because she was being violated and degraded in so many different ways. And my heart just breaks for her so much.
Melba, you're so right. Ours do as well.
Hollywood used to be praised as the city of lights, the place where dreams came true. But today, it's glowing for a much darker reason. Because of the fiery testimony coming out of a federal courtroom. Why? Because Cassie Ventura, the woman who stood beside Diddy for over a decade, has broken her silence. And what she revealed struck a devastating blow to the carefully crafted image of Diddy as an untouchable music mogul. When Cassie stood up, the world held its breath. But one person didn't stop. In fact, he burst out laughing. That person was 50 Cent. The rapper infamous for saying the quiet parts out loud, while the rest of the industry remained silent, or worse, avoided the topic altogether. 50 Cent turned Instagram into his personal stage, cracking jokes, calling people out, and throwing punches with no mercy. Today's story isn't just another courtroom drama. This is a collision between power, truth, and laughter at the most inappropriate time, but you still can't look away. If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to subscribe for more.
You're not worried that if you throw little and you don't throw out allegations, but like you kind of poke fun at them.
You just ask questions.
You're not worried that it comes back your way? Like people dig up your past and try to pull stuff up?
I don't got that in my past.
Everybody got a little bit.
Look,
like,
I took
real enough.
I took a pill. But it was for me to perform better. For her to remember, buddy. I didn't give her a drink so she forget what the happened. What the fuck is going on here, bro? Yes, I took the drink. I gave me the fucking drug to perform. So she could remember and possibly love me for that.
Did it work?
What the fuck? This is, yo, bro, look, I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm just saying, you said it's the opposite of normal shit that we're talking about, bro.
That is why. I don't know why it's so hard for people
so
just
for
to
people to
acknowledge
feel
weird
like
shit is
you
weird.
would have something or you would have reserved energy because you feel like you was doing it too. This is people that are looking on separation between their hardships or their the things that they got going on that would be issues and what a celebrity's issues would be.
Wait, what is that?
They think all celebrities are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Right, and when you see, if I wasn't saying anything, guess what? You could safely say that a person on the outskirts that is not involved in hip-hop culture could think that everybody in hip-hop culture is with that.
Cassie Ventura was once the embodiment of pure beauty. A woman who entered the music industry with a single hit and quickly became the name that made the entire entertainment world turn its head. But behind the bright stage lights, behind those romantic photos with Sean Diddy Combs, was a suffocating reality. One built on control and silence. Their love story had once been called a quiet romance by the press. But in Cassie's own words, it was more like a master-servant relationship dressed up in glitz and glamour. She was barely in her 20s when she was swept into Diddy's luxurious world. He wasn't just her boyfriend. He was her boss, her handler, the person who micromanaged every single detail of her life. He dictated how she wore her hair, what clothes she put on, where she went, who she met, and even what she was allowed to say. There's even an anecdote shared by someone from Diddy's inner circle. He once banned Cassie from using her phone for an extended period under the vague excuse that she needed time to reflect. But everyone knew what it really was, a way to completely isolate her from the outside world. There were whispers. People in the industry suspected something was off. A few of Cassie's former collaborators hinted at moments when she would show up to recording sessions utterly drained, her eyes empty, as if the light inside her had gone out. But no one spoke up. Because speaking up meant taking on Diddy. And Diddy wasn't just some powerful man. He was the power. a pillar of the American entertainment industry. Cassie, on the other hand, was just a young artist, protected, ironically, by the very man who built the gilded cage around her. For 10 long years, she lived in the gray space between fame and captivity, which leads to the unavoidable question: was it still love, or just possession? The answer didn't begin to reveal itself until Cassie took the witness stand. She wasn't just the quiet singer forever shadowed by Diddy's fame anymore. She became the woman brave enough to call out the very power that held her down for a decade.
And now we're learning about the supplies that were apparently used in the freak-offs. Again, the star witness is Cassandra Ventura. She and Diddy were in a relationship for 10 years. It ended in 2018. Cassie sued Diddy in 2023, and he settled that suit the very next day. That lawsuit was a major spark to the story that has brought us to what's playing out in court right now. This week, we heard Cassie tell her story to the jury. She says that Combs beat her, berated her, and forced her to take part in what has been called freak-offs. They're alleged drug-fueled sex parties involving escorts. Cassie said they were mentally and physically exhausting. She claimed that the freak-offs often left her with sores, UTIs, and needing IVs to recover. The jury has seen pictures of injuries from the relationship, Cassie says, like bloody lips and black eyes that she claims that Diddy gave her when they were together. The jury has also seen a video of Diddy assaulting Cassie in the hallway of an LA hotel in 2016 that was leaked to CNN. That's been seen by millions of people. That video, Cassie testified, shows her trying to escape a freak-off party. Now, the jury has also heard testimony from Cassie about the physical toll that she said freak-off parties had on her. This is an exchange from the transcript. When she was speaking with the prosecution, she said, quote, "Occasionally, I would get sores on my tongue from the freak-offs, the taking drugs, substances, and just friction in my mouth." She says that friction wasn't just from oral sex, but also from having her mouth on things covered with oil and other lubricants. The jury, we know, has seen an image from the freak-offs, but we don't know what that image really looks like. Our reporter, who has been in the courtroom every day, says it was only shown to jurors. It was not shown to those who have been sitting in the gallery. The defense, in its cross-examination, has been having Cassie read dozens of text messages that she and Combs sent to each other during their relationship. Messages like this one, trying to show that she was a willing participant in the freak-offs. Combs asks, quote, "When do you want to freak off, LOL?" And then Cassie replies, "LOL, I am just going up to change and put my ring in. I just picked it up. I'm always ready to freak off, LOL. LOL. The defense is trying to paint Combs and Ventura's relationship as one that was far more loving and consensual than Cassie's testimony presented thus far, and also prove that she wasn't forced to be part of the freak-offs, but she was a willing participant, and beyond that, she often organized them, they say. That she was the one who contacted the escorts often and put these things together.
Just before they broke for lunch, Cassie Ventura described how freak-offs actually became a job, lasting 36 to 48 hours, the longest one lasting up to 4 days. No wonder the participants needed IV fluids after a freak-off. I'm just curious, to Lauren Collin joining us at the courthouse, how was the jury responding?
What I will say is Cassie made a point to say that when she wasn't making music, she was actually having to, quote, recover from these freak-offs. And again, she did say these freak-offs lasted between 1 and 4 days, and it would take her an equal amount of time to get her body recovered, to rehydrate, to rest, to detox from these drugs. It was really, really sad to listen to.
The truly terrifying part wasn't just the twisted behavior of one man. It was the system around him, the people, the enablers, the silence, that allowed it all to function like clockwork. Cassie confessed that she often asked herself, how many people knew and said nothing? When the court discovered parts of those hidden recordings, the jury's first reaction wasn't rage. It was silence. A silence so deep you could hear people exhale. That silence. It weighed more than a guilty verdict ever could. If Cassie was the voice of truth, then 50 Cent was the laugh, straight out of hell. The moment the word freak-off leaked to the public, while the whole of Hollywood pretended not to notice, 50 Cent acted like he was watching a dark comedy series unfold in real time. On his personal Instagram, he launched a no-holds-barred roast campaign, one that nobody asked for, but nobody could ignore. One day, he posted a photo of Diddy wearing a pile of flashy chains with the caption, "Not sure this is fair, but who cares?" The next day, he uploaded a photoshopped image of Diddy in a hot pink outfit standing next to a clown, with the punchline, "At least you're not Diddy today." The jokes kept coming, relentless and outrageous. Then came the meme of Diddy before and after Cassie's testimony, featuring a warped, exaggerated photo like something straight out of a cartoon. And when news broke that Diddy had flown to Mexico to detox, using what Cassie described as an illegal plant-based drug, 50 Cent didn't miss a beat. Someone out here playing Pokemon with herbal supplements. But what made all this even more interesting was that 50 Cent wasn't just an outsider throwing shade. He had a history with Diddy that went back nearly 2 decades. They'd clashed at award shows, and 50 had openly mocked Diddy for years, once even calling him the sneakiest boss in the game. This time, though, 50 wasn't just trolling Diddy. He was trolling the entire industry. Every meme, every savage caption, was a grenade thrown at the wall of silence surrounding the entertainment elite.
You have something huge coming up, which is a documentary about P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy.
Yeah.
Did he do it, right?
Yeah.
I know
He did it.
you've been heavy on social media talking about it.
He did it. And I'm the only one who's been vocal about this long before it actually.
Oh, you've been saying this for a long time now. And then no one was, they're just, why is he saying this? And now it's coming out like crazy. I mean,
But I also didn't participate. I also didn't go to those parties.
Yeah.
So a lot of the celebrity culture that you don't hear saying anything is because they participated to a degree.
But was there a reason you never went to those parties back in the day? Obviously, I know what was going on there, but is there a reason you never did?
I'm just not with all that freaky shit. Like all of the stuff that he's doing, I'm not into that type of stuff. I'm just a little more, maybe you could say basic or normal. You go to the 90s and Keefy D said he paid him to kill Tupac.
Yeah.
It's a little, like, you get the craziest accusations. You had TMZ created a docuseries, they went to Tubi, but the series is saying the downfall of Diddy.
Some critics slammed him for being insensitive to the victim. But ironically, a lot of people only learned about Cassie's story through 50's posts. By joking irresponsibly, or maybe with razor-sharp intention, 50 Cent had turned a dark legal case into a viral cultural moment. In a world where audiences often scroll past anything heavy or painful, humor, even if twisted, is the quickest way to grab attention. And once you've got people's attention, the truth finally has a chance to be heard. When Cassie stepped onto the witness stand, pregnant, unwavering, face-to-face with a man she claimed had controlled, abused, and broken her for a decade, many expected a wave of solidarity from the entertainment community. A show of support, a statement, a line in the sand. But there was nothing. Total silence. Jay-Z, who had once invested millions alongside Diddy in music ventures, suddenly had nothing to say. Beyoncé, the self-proclaimed champion of female empowerment and black women's voices, offered no comment. Even longtime collaborators of Diddy like Usher, Kanye West, Mary J. Blige, people who had once stood shoulder to shoulder with him on stages and in studios, acted as though nothing had happened at all. That silence sparked a wave of public questions. Did they really not know? Or worse, did they know and choose not to confront it? An anonymous source from within the industry told Page 6 that Jay-Z had long suspected something was off in Diddy and Cassie's relationship. But instead of speaking up, he allegedly advised Cassie to avoid conflict. Why? As the source put it, when money and power are involved, the price of truth is just too damn high.
The prosecution's star witness taking the stand, but it was more than that. It was how Cassie took that stand. You could hear a pin drop when those doors opened, and a visibly pregnant Cassie Ventura walking past a man she had not seen in 6.5 years. A man she says violently abused her for a decade. A man the prosecution said trafficked her. Well, she sat across from him, placed her overcoat behind her, turning her body slightly toward the jury, rubbing her pregnant belly throughout her testimony. Diddy, well, he was more fidgety than he was the day before. He was passing notes. He pushed himself away from the defense table and largely sat like that. They never seemed to make eye contact with one another, not even after she was crying about having loved him once and planning and participating in these freak-off sex parties because she feared him and she wanted to make him happy. but feeling worthless, feeling disgusting because she didn't want to do it. Now, with each moment, the testimony became more and more graphic. Her delivery, though, it never changed. It was, matter of fact, steady, calm. At times, she was even critical of herself, walking us all through how a 10-album record deal came over a 10-year period of abuse and sexual humiliation. And once you hear Cassie's testimony, you'll understand why the courtroom was so tense. She described the freak-offs in lurid detail. She testified about Diddy, who she called Sean, choreographing it all. And she explained a pattern of physical abuse that she could not escape. Cassie told the jury about one freak-off at a hotel where Diddy told her to get into an inflatable pool filled with warm baby oil. The prosecutor asked, "What concerns did you have about not getting into the pool with baby oil?" Cassie responded, quote, that, amongst other things, just his temper. If that is something that he wanted, Sean wanted to happen, that what was going to happen. There wasn't another way around it.
The internet didn't let that go unnoticed. Many users began comparing this collective silence to other high-profile scandals. They remembered how everyone quickly condemned R. Kelly after the Surviving R. Kelly documentary aired. Or how, once Harvey Weinstein's crimes were revealed, a flood of actors came forward to denounce him. So why was Diddy different? Why the sudden shyness? The answer, perhaps, lies in what Diddy represented. He wasn't just an artist. He was a producer, a record label executive, a gatekeeper, the man who held the keys to dreams, who owed him a hit, who still needed his blessing to sign a deal, who was afraid that speaking out meant being erased from the game entirely. And therein lies the bitter irony. In an industry that constantly preaches gender equality, racial justice, and protection for women, when a woman finally stands up to tell her brutal truth, she ends up standing alone. Cassie didn't need anyone to defend her in court. But the hollow silence from the very community that once called her sister? That said more than any court document ever could. In the entertainment world, silence isn't neutral. It's a choice. And that choice, in this case, has become part of the problem. Sean Combs, also known as Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, or just Diddy, was once the poster child for black excellence in American entertainment. A man from Harlem who built an empire from nothing. Music, fashion, liquor, media. He didn't just succeed, he dominated. He wasn't merely an artist. He was a symbol. The kind of man who could turn anyone into a star with just a nod of approval. But when Cassie took the stand, and her testimony echoed through that courtroom, the myth of Diddy began to fracture. Not with fireworks, not with screaming headlines, but with a slow, visible unraveling that played out in real time. Those present in court all seemed to say the same thing. Diddy wasn't himself anymore. He sat in silence, his hands trembling as Cassie described nights of freak-offs, of being so nauseous she collapsed, yet was still forced to perform. When the hidden video recordings were shown privately to the jury, footage only they were allowed to see on secured monitors, Diddy dropped his head. He couldn't bear to look. A man who once entered rooms like royalty now looked small, lost, sitting under the weight of the very people he used to rule over. What many people don't realize is that Diddy is obsessed with his image. Every frame that made it online, every paparazzi shot, every press article, he managed it all. There's a story from a photographer who once captured Diddy making a funny face during an interview. His team immediately demanded the memory card be wiped clean because that angle wasn't press-worthy. So imagine the psychological blow of having the entire country dissect your most perverse secrets, day after day, while a rapper like 50 Cent turns your darkest moments into memes that go viral. And yet, the blow that hurt the most may not have come from the public, but from the boardroom. Even without a final court verdict, the social sentencing had already begun. Business partners started backing out quietly. His once lucrative liquor brand saw its name pulled from key distributors. A major film studio that had been preparing a documentary about Diddy's music legacy put the project on indefinite hold. Radio stations, once filled with his anthems, started scrubbing his tracks from their playlists. This collapse wasn't the result of one scandal. It was the result of years of warnings swept under the rug. And when the rug was finally yanked up, exposing everything, even a king like Diddy found himself with nowhere left to hide.